One more time. For evolution is over here. Against evolution is over here. No. We only want the debaters. You guys are for or against? Okay. Yes, you will talk. Okay, so let's start by explaining what evolution is. Evolution is basically the theory that, or it's the theory that Charles Darwin came up with. So, evolution is basically the theory that humans developed from monkeys, and over time we became who we are because of natural selection. And natural selection is basically saying that if you have better traits that will help you survive in this certain environment, then your species will continue. And this goes for both animals, plants, and humans. Okay, so on this side, are we talking from a Islamic point of view? Yeah. That's what it's talking
Also, are we talking about just...
I want to get some clarification on the parameters of this debate. Are we talking about just simply evolution as a whole, or are we talking about, from an Islamic perspective, can we believe in the human evolution piece of what's mentioned in, what's believed in the scientific community? Because if it's just for evolution in general, I think many of us would be supportive of it. But when it comes to specifically human evolution, and whether we, as human beings, as Insan and Adam alayhi salam, was part of that process or not, that's I think a separate debate. So just to be clear, I'm for evolution, but I'm against the fact that human evolution is 100% part of that tree and doesn't have a separate sort of intervention by Allah on it. So just to set the parameters, I don't know how we pick up.
So this discussion is basically talking about human evolution, because of course, like evolution for plants and evolution for some animals does make sense, but most of your confusion that I got on the form that I asked you to fill out is evolution for humans. Did we really come from monkeys? And that's the question we're going to be answering today.
So my role is what? My role is... So they will be making some arguments, and then I will be pushing or commenting, and then they will be making some arguments, and then I will be commenting, right? Okay.
And again, this is for evolution. This is against evolution.
Yeah.
For human beings.
Yes, for human beings.
This is a hard debate to have, so there's a lot of parameters.
Yeah. One second. So I asked, maybe we should ask the four people. They'll tell us. So can you start by telling us why you believe or you accept the theory of evolution? And the debate is about humans, right?
Yeah.
So on what basis do you accept? So is it that just makes sense, or I read some verses, or that video was good, or so what are the arguments that made you think, yeah, evolution for humans? Good.
If you look at monkeys compared to humans, we have very similar traits. For hands, an example, we saw a picture on, I think, the second or first video, I can't remember. Our hands are similar. And our hands are similar a lot. And when we look to monkeys walk on their stand up, we walk the same. So I believe, and there is, yeah.
Okay. Would you girls like to add anything to what he said? Any other arguments before we comment or let them respond? So, for those who didn't hear, maybe I don't know if everybody heard, his argument, if I can summarize it very quickly, is there's some similarities between humans and apes. He's saying monkeys, I don't like the word monkeys, but doesn't matter. Apes. So he's saying there are similarities in the hands, in the posture, in the body, so it looks like we are related, right? Please.
Actually, I'm standing as a devil's advocate. I actually do not believe in evolution, but I am going to argue for it as in a Islamic point of view. So, Allah said that we do not know our origin and we do not know how we were created. So I think that opens up, it's not only evolution could be true according to the Quran because we don't even know how we were created. So evolution could be an option or like a theory of how we were created.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I'm actually against evolution of humans, but
One second, then you should be sitting over there.
there's
Not only that, I think
no, but I was gonna say.
for that position, maybe it's better.
No, I'm not for anything. I'm just trying to sort of push everybody to their, sort of best. Push them to be as strong in their argumentation as possible.
But I think maybe most people I think are on this camp. So it'd be better if you were on that camp and then you would have the push and pull.
He's pushing me. See? Did you see him? He's pushing me over there. So
I think there's some other lines. So I think
don't blame me later if I'm really with them. But so I'm just saying, if you're against, you should be sitting
I
there.
was gonna say I'm against human evolution, but I'm not against animal evolution, or at least in this debate. That doesn't matter in real life, but in this debate, I'm just saying that human evolution is proven in the Quran to be wrong. That we were all created from Prophet Adam, and he was created from clay. I'm arguing against myself.
So I still think she should be sitting over there.
Yeah.
From what I understood. That's perfectly fine what she believes, but she should be sitting over there.
Okay, now I'd like to add on to this point, and I'd also like to open up the discussion not only for humans, but for animals as well. So why I support evolution is because, first of all, where did the cavemen come from? Like, didn't they also walk kind of weirdly and look differently, and their stance was different? So that gets me to think, like, maybe we did come from monkeys. Maybe they were the first stage, you know?
Okay? So you all heard her argument? If you look at cavemen, they really look like closer to apes. So maybe we are related. That's what she said. Okay? Now, can we have maybe 2 or 3 of you? There's so many, we can't have all of you. Otherwise it'll take the whole afternoon. But just 2 or 3 of you, just give us briefly why you are against evolution, at least for humans. Now, Maryam just opened it up a little bit more. She said, we can also discuss evolution for other species, even though originally we were focused on humans. So you can tell us why you object to evolution, whether for humans or altogether.
Okay, so basically,
Keep the microphone close so that we can all hear. Yeah.
so if you're saying that we were originated from monkeys or any animal, it doesn't make sense because Allah says it doesn't say we're like from monkeys or we're from like a different animal. It says we're like the best humans. We were like made the best. So like when you're saying we're made from monkeys, it doesn't logically like go with the Quran really. So like that's why I'm against it.
Okay.
I'd like to refute your point.
Oh, one second, please. We need to give them a chance. We need to give them a chance. You need to be patient, Mariam. We need to give them a chance. I said at least 2 or 3 can give their arguments. Maybe it's not the only argument. And then you can...
Also, speaker over here, the way that a human was really created, we were basically created in stages. So the first humans were basically lifeless material. In the second stage, humans were physically humans, but they were mentally still on the level of animals. So they lacked language, articulation, and logic. And in the third stage, humans developed thinking skills. And in the final stage, humans learned to exist as a society, which is like what we are now. So there's an enormous gap between humans and animals in the mental potential and social skills, which raises the issue of the missing link, which basically proves that we're not. I don't know.
Can I please talk?
I don't know.
What happened to you today? You need to be patient, Maria. Okay, so just to summarize, for those of you who didn't hear everything, so she's saying if you follow the presumed evolution of humans, according to the theory, there are these stages where humans resembled animals but didn't have mental capacities, didn't have language, etc. And there is a second stage, and then there is a third stage, and she's saying there are gaps in there. And so she brought up the issue of missing links, these transitional stages for which presumably we don't have fossils. Okay, I'll let you respond. All of this can be responded to, by the way, just so you know. It's not just, okay, she's good. She has some good arguments, but there can be some rebuttals, just saying. All right, a third, one more and one last. One last. All right.
I say that, like,
Closer, higher. Speak louder.
I say that the evolution for like animals and plants, that makes sense. You can see how they change over time. But with humans, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran that we came down from like Jannah-like state. Like, not exactly Jannah, not dunya, but we were brought down to earth after Adam ate from the tree.
Okay.
So like, I say like evolution is like a set of dominoes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the last domino, but we're still different. We're like the red domino amongst the black dominoes.
Okay, so he's saying he has no problem with the evolution of all other species, including animals. But humans are different. That's the last domino which was added along the whole line of dominoes. But it's a different domino, essentially because in the Quran it says that Adam was sent down from the garden when he ate from the tree, when he committed the sin. So for that reason, he says humans could not have evolved. They're a different thing that were added at the end. All right, now we can have rebuttals, or we can have additional arguments, counter arguments. I'm not sure how we go. There are some hands being raised over there. Shall we take some things from the audience, or refute first? Okay, let's just hold on to your thoughts. We'll get to you 1 second. I promise.
I'd like to refute what Leila said, that we came down in stages. Yeah, exactly. We came down in stages, and the Quran does state that. But these stages were not described. It provided no details of those stages, but it does offer principles to tend to point toward 4 major stages of human evolution, which you described. But how do you know? Prove to me that you know that these stages did not get to monkeys, which got to humans. It doesn't even have to just be monkeys. It can be some other weird form of humans, but we did eventually evolve. Prove to me, please.
No, we can't go back and forth like that.
Okay.
Yeah, have to be in orderly. Any more rebuttals?
So what she said, the first person said, she said that it doesn't make logic that humans came from monkeys, but like, it kind of makes sense. The similarities are so close. If you take say, a chimpanzee skull and a human skull, the nose, the face, the eyes, they look exactly the same. Monkeys have the same ears as us, the same nose as us, the same eyes as us, the same hands, how they walk. And we share 70% of our DNA with bananas, and we all know. Like,
It's a lot more than 70%, but okay, you get the point. All right? Okay, hold on a second. No, we give them a chance, then we go to the audience. So, 2 rebuttals here, 2 quick rebuttals, or whatever they said.
So Allah says that in Jannah, Allah, He gave, like Adam and Eve, He gave them clothes. So according to theory of evolution, like they still didn't develop logic at the beginning. Then Adam and Eve, Allah said that they had clothes. Also in the Quran that says وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, and Allah taught Adam everything. So that humans, so then according to Allah, that humans, they had clothes already, and Allah taught Adam everything. So
Where does it say that they have clothes?
that like, it says that like,
So I'm gonna like rebel for what he said about the resemblance
Okay.
of the monkeys and us. It doesn't make. I'm saying like it's logical, but like you never know. Monkeys are just like what they are. We're different. Even though there's resemblance, there's no like evidence that Allah chose to make monkeys to us, like to form us. He could have just made them similar to us, but not like us being evolved or like formed from them. So like that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, I have another point to add. If you're saying that humans evolved from monkeys, so let's go look back at all of the other animals. So let's say specifically cats. There are lots of types of cats. There's lions, tigers, monkeys, cougars, and not monkeys, sorry. Sorry. I meant to say all different types of cats, but do you have any evidence that cats, like household cats, evolved from tigers or cougars or all of these things, and they have like very similar facial features? They have the same nose, eyes, ears. It's all shaped like very similarly, but you don't have any evidence that cats evolved from tigers or lions and mice.
So you're saying every single type of animal is completely different from every other?
Well, I'm not saying.
Even the tigers and the cougars and the leopards, and they're all completely different. They're not related to each other, even though there's a lot of resemblance. I'm just trying to understand your point.
I'm saying that they are related, but we have no evidence that cats evolved from tigers.
So the cats are different, but the leopards and the tigers and all of those are related, so they evolved from each other?
Well, I'm saying that they could have evolved, but we do not have any evidence for that. And I'm saying how can we not have evidence for this? And we're always focused on human evolution. Humans evolved from monkeys. It doesn't make sense really that one species evolved from the other. It could have made more sense that tigers evolved or cats evolved from tigers because they're very similar to each other. They're the cat species. They're the same type of species. They're all cats. But monkeys and humans are not the same species. So how can they evolve from one species to another? I know they have similar facial features, but there are so many other animals that have similar facial features that you can't say that are evolved from one. So there are different like canaries and parakeets. They're very similar. They're same size, but you can't say canaries evolved from parakeets.
Okay. Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so I know that we share 50% DNA with the banana. Yet we don't look anything. Yet we don't look anything like a banana. Therefore, as you might say that we share some type of DNA with monkeys that are similar, we share 50% same DNA with banana, and yet we don't look anything like it.
Okay. So 50% is not enough. But if it's 99%, that'd be good. That'd be good. What we do share. Okay, so anyway. Alright, so can we go to the audience? We can't take too many, I'm sorry. Can't take too many. There are so many hands. Yeah, there was a hand that was raised here a long time ago, so I'll go to her.
So I agree with Maryam Kid, and I agree with Rina and Yasra and Laila. What Maryam said about the pigments, how they shape differently, and how Nina supported and Aya. But for me, I would say also that apes were not real because if like.
Wait a minute. So you're making your mind up now?
That way, like saying like they're not turning to humans because like if they were, then right now monkeys would be turning to humans.
Okay. So the argument here is how come there are still monkeys if we came down from the monkeys? To summarize. All right.
Who choose who's next? I can give the microphone.
Somebody from this group, they figure out.
So I mean, maybe do some work out, correct?
Somebody from that group. The tallest guy.
So, because like there are other animals that have been like evolving.
No, excuse me. Just first of all, everybody, please. I know it's an exciting issue. I know everybody's fired up. Please, girls. I know everybody is excited. Everybody's fired up. Everybody has all kinds of comments to make. But we need to really keep quiet. First of all. Otherwise, we can't hear each other. It becomes lots of background noise, and everybody chatting with each other, and then you haven't benefited. Girls, please, focus here. You'll have plenty of time later to get outside and make all kinds of comments to each other. Right now we need to listen to each other. Secondly, when you make a comment, please start. This is sort of the rules of debates. You start by saying, I am for or I am against, and my argument is. So you don't just make a long, rambling comment, and we're trying to figure out what you're trying to tell us. Start by being very clear. I am against, I am for, on the basis of the Quran, on the basis of the science, and my counter-argument is following. And then you have 1 minute. Please.
Okay, so I'm against evolution as it relates to humans, and so there are hundreds of thousands of other animals that have had the same amount of time to evolve as monkeys have, and the fact that we've evolved to have the amount of intellect we do, and
All right, thank you. So one more, Dr. Muhammad. All right, so we can have. We took the tallest guy. We'll take the smallest guy here.
No.
We need to get them to enjoy this and be nervous. If this was an academic debate, believe me, there wouldn't be any of these stuff. Yeah.
I go for against evolution because when you go to the zoo for one time and see the monkeys.
Everybody, please, guys. Excuse me.
Then you go for
No.
another 6 years.
Hold on a second. Hold it. Guys. We're not going to get through if every 2 minutes there's some chatting right and left. Please.
Mostly, actually, monkeys live as a monkey and die as a monkey. They don't evolve into humans.
All right, thank you. Now, can I make another comment? Yeah. Can I make another comment? Let's try not to repeat each other, okay? Let's try, if somebody has made a comment here and you agree with it, you don't need to repeat it. Or somebody made it somewhere else, we don't need to repeat. We should hear only new arguments or counter-arguments. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere. Let's get one of the girls now. We've had a couple of boys. Let's take the young girl over there at the back, yeah. Oh, because I gave you the phone this morning. That's why I went to that.
I'm against evolution because I think comparing monkeys to humans doesn't make any sense. That's like comparing an orange to an apple. Because although they're both round and they're both fruits, they're not the same. They can be compared to each other, but they don't have anything in common really when you go back and look at them. You can't say an orange came from an apple because they're both fruits and they're both sweet and round. They are similar, but they're not the same thing.
Okay, thank you. So, just because they look the same doesn't mean they are the same. Okay, that's the new argument. Let's get Muhammad here.
So against evolution for one reason. The thing is, like, you can't convince me this is true because, like, thousands years ago, something happened, and they have to believe you if you're not showing me an evidence. And even like some people who are pro-evolution, when they're trying to show their evidence before, they are cheating us like that. Like I have like one example for the one who's in Germany who's showing us like the head of a man, and he's saying this is like an evolution theory proof, like this was evolving along across the years, and this was at the end we found out he's cheating like many people, and he got like $4 million for that. So my thing as a one who's studying math and mathematician, I need to see an evidence. You are not showing me an evidence. You are not telling me like this is happening like from millions of years ago, and this is happening like thousands of years ago, and I have to believe you. If you are not showing me an evidence, how can I believe you? And this is against like any experimental method. Like you first, if you have a conclusion, you have to have your proof to prove your conclusion. Yeah.
So just to understand, so you're saying there isn't evidence for the human evolution, or you're saying
there's not.
There cannot be evidence because this is a long time in the past? You're saying we don't have evidence now, or you're saying you cannot have evidence because you're talking about something in the past?
We don't have evidence. This is the first thing. Okay. Second thing, you can't tell me this is the evidence because it's happened like thousands of years ago. Like, how can I believe you if you're telling me something that I can't see, I can't find?
Okay. All right. So let's go back a little bit to the teams here. We've heard enough people. We'll come back to you later. Okay. Just hold on to your ideas. Listen carefully. Everybody, please. Listen carefully here, so that when you get the chance to make a comment or make an argument, you will have heard what they said. So let's go back to the 4 evolution team. I'm really struggling to keep the whole audience quiet. It's like a challenge. All right, go.
Okay, so back to what Yusra said, how there's no difference. There's another theory that whales came from land animals, and that land animals they start swimming in water and they start evolving. Now, if you find a whale skeleton, they have found that there's feet actually inside the whale, like the bone. There's still bones of feet left in the whale. So there is evolution for animals, and with humans, it's just like, why would there be 2 similar animals that are like really similar that it just doesn't make sense to me that they would put them so similar? There's no such thing as evolution. Like, it has to be something to deal with. They wouldn't.
But just to challenge you, what about the young woman over there who said, but an apple and an orange are so similar, they are the same size, they're both sweet, they're nice, so similarity is not an evidence for relationship.
I'd like to refute you, I think it was you over there, the purple hijab, by saying in the Quran there were many analogies, which is what Sheikh Muhammad Ali taught me. The Quran used many analogies to help us understand what we cannot understand, and so there's also the analogy between whales, and if we use evolution and natural selection to see how it works, we find out that the whale actually had a nose in the front, but through evolution, the nose go out in the back, because that's natural selection. And the random genetics changes this. I'd also like to refute some more points. I think someone stated that Allah created humans at the highest rank or whatever. So there's an ayah that says, does not man remember that when we created him initially, he was nothing? So that's explaining, like, you did not have all this stuff that you have now. You did not have all this knowledge. You do not have the brain that you have right now, but now you do because I gave it to you. Also, another ayah, there surely came over a man a period of time when he was a thing not worth mentioning. Well, do we always mention like apes and monkeys and gorillas all the time? Like, oh my gosh, such cool creations. I mean, yes, but we're not like, wow, look at their ability to think, look at their ability to feed their children or whatever, because we think that we are the highest of them all, you know? So that's refuting these points.
Thank you very much. Can we have one rebuttal here?
Okay, so Maria, you've been saying that like you're so like I don't really like go for your like statement. So you're saying through evolution and scientific fact that like thousands and thousands of years later we're still gonna be evolving. If you're saying animals are evolving right now, are you saying that every single creature is gonna be evolving again and again? We're not like it's not gonna stop. So like I'm thinking, what do you think about that? If we're stuck, we're having like I don't know. If for example, I have a cheetah. Are you saying the cheetah is gonna evolve into something else in like 1,000,000 more years or like 1,000 more years? Will that happen?
I would like to suggest something. How much time do we have? How much more time in the session?
7 minutes originally in the schedule. Maybe you can extend it a little bit for a few more minutes if needed.
A few more minutes? I wanted to show a couple of slides because I think there's a lot of sort of misconceptions and confusions that I would like to just, at least as a point of information.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to seem like I'm pushing or helping my friends here.
It's very good if you can continue forever the community.
Yeah, but I wanted to add some scientific information so that people don't keep saying, there's this word similarity or differences and all of that. So I just want to show you a couple of things, if I may. Here's the evolution thing. I did have a whole presentation, but I'm not going to do that. No. I'll summarize. Can I suggest that all of you sit over there? Everybody sit over here so you can see this. So the first thing I wanted to... Please, everybody. Everyone, I really would like to learn something. So we leave today, we will have learned a couple of things. Whether we agree or not agree, or it challenges what we used to think, or it pushes me to go research the topic some more, etc. What I tell my students, everybody listen, please, girls. Really, what I tell my students, and for those of you who know my YouTube channel, I tell people my objective every time is you learn something. It's not to convince you one thing or another, it is for you to learn something. Once you learn something, then you go out and you say, first of all, that was beneficial because I learned something, and two, this pushes me to go and try to learn some more about this, or try to disagree because I really didn't like, or it didn't convince me, or whatever. So, when we talk about comparisons between humans and apes, or between any two species, I heard leopard and cheetah and tiger and whatnot. We never talk, please, girls, I don't know why everybody keeps talking. I'm saying there's something to learn here. It's not about facial features, it's not how big the animal is or the human compared to the ape. Are we talking about a gorilla, or are we talking about a chimpanzee, or orangutan, or what are we talking about? It's not physical features. First and foremost, it is the genetic comparison that matters. How genetically, and I heard some numbers being thrown, 70%, 50%, 90%. If you look at the genome comparison of humans and chimpanzees, this is humans and this is chimpanzees. For those of you who are looking here, this is the human chromosome series. And this is the chimpanzee chromosome series. I want you to pay attention to the following. This is crucial. Look at here, the human chromosome. We have 23 pairs, 46 in total, 23 pairs. The chimpanzee has 48, 24 pairs. So right there you say there's a problem. Even though most of them are almost identical, almost. There's some differences and these can be explained. But the most crucial thought I want you to focus on is this. This is chromosome 2 for humans. The chimpanzee has two of them, 2A and 2B they are called, or sometimes 2P and 2Q. Now, here's where it gets really striking. If you look at this, forget this, this is really the actual images of the chromosomes taken in the labs. And compare, here it's not just humans and chimpanzees, it is humans, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans. 4 of them put one next to the other, and I can send you these slides and you can look at them carefully on your own. And there's a reference from one of the top science journals in the world. Those of you who know some science know the journal science. Anyway, I want you to pay attention to this now. Look, if you look at the 2 chromosomes, 2A, 2B, or 2P, 2Q for the chimpanzee, they are right here. This is how they look. If you look at the chromosome number 2 of humans, this is a very, very weird chromosome, unique in all of the biology that we have found. In that, it has, this is called a telomere, and this is called a telomere, meaning the edge of the chromosome. These are very important because this is how genes develop their mutations and start to have cancer and all of that. The biologists know telomere, telomere, and then there's the centromere, which is the central part. If you look at this chromosome, it has telomeres in the middle. And that's like, when people discovered this, they said, what's this? Why is it like this? And then if you look at this, and you compare it with this, and you look at this, and you compare it with this, you find that there is very, very strong similarity. Which means that our chromosome number 2 is essentially these 2 chromosomes at some point just fused. They just came like this. There are no other chromosomes that exist for humans or chimpanzees or gorillas or anybody that have done this. So if this is just a strange coincidence that God created us differently, like the last domino that I heard, and then just decided to just fuse the 2 chromosomes just for some strange reason, that is very strange. Secondly, in biology, all of these mutations and all the changes that you can notice here, and you can go back and say, okay, how much change there is, how much of a difference, they can go back and in the lab figure out what is the time scale that is needed for every mutation to occur. Which means that they can go back and figure out if there is any similarity or difference here, how much time back, when did this happen? Why? Not because I can go back and really observe what happened when we were 2 million years ago, but because I can do the experiment right now and see how much time it takes, and then I can go back. This is exactly like I figure out, or I teach, how did the Earth form, how did the Moon form, and how did the Sun form, and this is all 4.5 billion years ago. Nobody was here 4.5 billion years ago. Nobody objects in the entire world, Muslims or non-Muslims, to the astronomers and astrophysicists explaining what happened 4.5 billion years ago for the Earth, the Sun, the Moon, the planets, and so forth. And William, just let me finish all of this quickly, and then I'll open for discussion if you like. So this is the first thing. When we're talking about comparisons, let's not just talk about physical comparison and apples and oranges. We're talking about genetics. If you want to talk to the world or to anybody who understands any of this stuff and not seem like you don't know what you're talking about, you need to talk to genetics. You need to go and review all the genetics. Now, everybody's talking genetics. Nobody's talking about, look at the physical features, look at the nose. We don't care about the nose. We look at the genetics. Now, the other thing I want to show you, by the way, here's something else that I want to show you. Here are the genomes of human and chimpanzee. The genome is just the entire collection of all the genes, all the letters in the DNA, all of them, one after the other. And you can put them next to each other and see exactly where we differ and how much similarity there is, which genes we really share completely exactly the same genes, and which parts of which genes we have some differences, and what kind of difference does it make, and that's why it makes us, I don't know, maybe a little bit bigger in the skull or smaller in the nose or whatever. These are all genetic differences. You can see them on the screen. One last thing I want to show you, because people kept talking about missing links and all of that. Here. I ask you, are these skulls, these are all real skulls, all found fossils. Are these skulls of humans or skulls of apes? Because those of you who said, and most of you I gather, said, I am against human evolution. So if you are against human evolution, Everything that you see, everything that you find out there is either human or ape. There's nothing in between, right? And some of you said there are missing links, there's nothing, we haven't found anything, what are you talking about, where's the transition? So, are these human skulls or ape skulls? Anybody here says says human skulls? One person, there's a couple more, there's a few more, alright. So, which one of these are human and which ones are ape skulls? Are they all ape skulls?
No, no.
Let me ask another question, briefly. Any of you think that some of these, or perhaps all of these, are actually in between, transition? Alright. Here's the answer. Let me tell you first of all what you need to know about skulls. One important piece of information. Listen everybody, please. Very important piece of information. The volume of the ape skull is about 500 cubic centimeters, half a liter. The skull, this, if I'm an ape, this is half a liter. If I'm a human being, there's some little variations across people around the world, but more or less 1.5 liters, 3 times that of the ape. Okay? We have a skull and we have a brain that is 3 times bigger than that of the ape. So one of the things that we look at when we find fossils to decide, are these human skulls or ape skulls, is first of all the volume. 1. Number 2, we have a face that tends to be straight like this. The apes tend to be long like this. Okay? This is very, very basic stuff. All of this is through and through science. But just quickly so you understand what we are looking at. Now, here's where it gets very interesting. This one here has a volume of 510 cubic centimeters. Clearly an ape, and it has been dated. Those of you with whom I met yesterday, the girls, when we were talking in Panera, I think it was called, I was talking about how we date back things, how we know what happened in the past. So this can be dated using radioactivity dating. This is a bit complicated, but we'll skip that. 1.9 million years. The capital M means million. This is dated at 1.9 million years, has a volume 510 cubic centimeters. Everybody following? Yes? Next one, 750 cubic centimeter, 1.9 million years. This one, 850 cubic centimeter. So, what kind of a, I don't know if to call it an animal or whatever. What is this? Clearly something in between. The apes today have 500 cubic centimeter. 510 I can accept. 750 I'm having difficulties. I don't know any ape today that has a skull 750. 850 definitely not. But not quite a human. Far from a human. At least not modern human. This is 880. This is between 915 to 1225, because as you can see, the skull is a bit strange, has eyebrows that are big, difficult to determine what to measure exactly. So people differ as to how to measure it. But clearly we're talking about 900 to 1200. And then this one here is 940. But here's what I wanted you to notice, maybe you noticed already. The ages from when did these skulls come to us, or how long have they been buried? They vary from 1.9 million years, 1.9, 1.7, 1.6, 0.3 to 0.8, let's say roughly 500,000 years ago, and this is between 0.4 and 1, let's say 0.7 million years ago. And here's what you notice. As time evolves, as you get closer to the present, these skulls become larger. Everybody understood? So the moral of the story, as I said, I wanted you to learn some things, and then you go and research it. But the moral of the story, when we talk about these things, let's not just talk about, doesn't make sense to me, why would it be like that? No, go and study it. Go and research it. You need, when you talk about a topic, you make sure that you have done your homework. On these things, there's a lot of stuff that we need to learn so that when we argue with people for or against evolution, for or against whatever, any topic, not just evolution, we show that we have done our homework. We Muslims have a moral responsibility to do our homework and not just talk. Alright? Can we have some more discussion or...
Probably just a couple of quick questions.
A couple of questions. Okay. So... The lady at the back, maybe? One second. You get the microphone.
You said that we have a moral responsibility to do our research.
Right.
But what you haven't done, this to me creates doubt in the minds of our young students who are in school with future scientists and people who are not basing their research on Quran or Sunnah. And if we are to teach our children to be strong Muslims and believe in Allah on the last day, who we can't see, but we know exists, and we teach them every day based on the Kibar ulama's teachings and the tabi'in and tabi'in, and this could confuse them. And I think that maybe we, if we do our research Islamically and have a proper rebuttal for some of this, we can combine it. But if we leave them today with this, we could possibly be responsible for kufr. And I just need to say that because now I feel a responsibility to now go and do more extensive homework, more than I can say right now, so that we can come back together. Because we really now need to strengthen their deen and strengthen their aqidah.
Okay, so look, this information is out there. This information is out there, and our youth are going to find it, whether we tell them or not. And it's better if they hear it from us, and then they come and ask us, and we talk to them. Will be after, will it be after Maghrib or later when we talk about the issues of doubt and lack of belief, etc. And one of the main issues is the youth are not having the proper discussions and dialogues within the Islamic community, and when they get out there, they will not just be hearing this, they will be hearing true kufr, true atheism, telling them that this proves that there is no God, when I can actually prove to them that this is true, but proves there is a God. Not proves, but is absolutely consistent with there is a God. So we need to make sure that all of this discussion happens intra-community. Not leave our kids and say, I'm not going to tell you this stuff because this will create doubts, and then God knows what will happen. If I don't show them this, they find it either at school, their teachers will show them this, they find it on YouTube, they find it on some websites without the proper guidance. So my big recommendation for the entire day is get all this information here on the table and get it to be discussed within the Islamic community, with the Muslim scholars, with the scientists, with the jurists, with the commentators, with the Quran specialists. But to leave it out there and just tell everybody like, oh, if you read the Quran, you will find that Adam was created, so there's nothing to worry about, there's no evolution. They go out there, they will find all of this stuff, and then they will say, they lied to me. They were telling me some stuff that is absolutely wrong. I can prove it. I have had countless discussions with young Muslims who say, when I went and did my research, I found that all of your stories are wrong. I said, that's because you never came and discussed it with me. He said, you never came and discussed it with me. So I think it is extremely important that we present whatever information is out there. We cannot hide it, because it is out there. We can't hide it. This is solid science, trust me. And if you go to my book, you'll find all the references to this. All the references. And you don't need to go to my book to find the references. You can just start Googling. I can give you the names of every skull, every one of these skulls. So everybody can go and research every one of these skulls. As I did my homework, people need to do their homework. Because if they stick with these simplistic arguments that they have heard from the community, they're in for a big shock tomorrow. Big shock tomorrow. So I want everybody to be shocked here, not outside.
Maybe we can, later, small group get together to figure out how to make sure we lead our children in the right direction.
That's the whole purpose of the second session.
We would love to, actually, because we want to touch on many topics. Probably it is, we do not have the time to go through evolution deeper. We just want to kind of scratch the surface, open interest. And the discussion with Dr. Bassoum is how can we really form groups after the conference who can be kind of researching these topics. And actually the main idea is not just the Islam and science, but the main idea is Islam and atheism. Because as Dr. Bassoum mentioned, some people, whenever we keep teaching them, just this is what you need to believe in without the scientific background, once they go out in the wilderness and they talk to people, they start questioning the deen from the basis. Should we take just one more question, inshallah?
Two questions, please.
Keep the
I have
microphone
two
close,
questions.
please.
Two questions.
Yeah.
The first one, the proportion that the human skeleton equals 3 times the.
Yeah.
Is it?
Not the skeleton, the skull.
Yeah, skull.
Yeah.
The skull. Was it established throughout the history or from this? I mean.
No, we're talking about today.
Today.
So we're talking about modern humans. This what is called modern humans is humans since the last 100 to 200,000 years, not millions. 100,000 to 200,000 modern humans, a skull of roughly 1,500 cubic centimeters.
So we're using this to extrapolate.
No, not extrapolate. We're saying if humans. So for those who believe that humans were created separately, so were humans created in today's form or in a different form? Most people say, no, we were created like this. If we were created like this, by the way, there are some people who say, no, humans were much bigger and they started to become much smaller. There is zero evidence in the entire scientific literature for any such thing. So people need to stop saying those things because people will just laugh. That we were much bigger, we were 20 meters big, and then we started to become smaller and smaller. There is zero evidence. Zero. So, most Muslims, when I talk to them, I say, okay, so we were created separately? They say yes. We were created like what? Like I am now? More or less? They say yes. So if we were created more or less as we are now, then my skull is 1,500 cubic centimeter. If I look at the apes, and the apes are 500 cubic centimeter, then these don't fit.
Okay, I have just another, this one is said 3 times. Just like me that there is an ayah in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ قِرَادَةً خَاسِئِينَ.
Yeah, that's...
So the khasi means being something small. Khasa'a means...
Whatever it is, but that... Hold on a second.
You see what I'm coming from?
Yeah. This only applied to one tribe of Jewish people who rebelled or did not follow, and there is a disagreement among the Muslim scholars. Was this جعلناهم قردة وخنازير? Is this morally, mentally, or even physically? But everybody, all the Muslim scholars agree that this لا يورث is not inherited, meaning that those who came later, and this is just one tribe, everybody else continued as well. So that is not an issue to be compared with. Whatever happened to that tribe, and they became apes, whether mentally, morally, physically, that is one special moment in history, does not relate to everything else.
So the word qirada doesn't have anything to do with evolution?
Yeah, no, because that is one specific moment in history for one tribe, everything else was separate. Yeah.
So as we mentioned, we are just kind of trying just to raise awareness and interest, and may Allah reward Dr. Bassoum for raising that much interest. We need to be scheduled on the time, but we should be coming back inshallah after we make Asr, after we pray. We are gonna come inshallah, and later on the day we'll have time for questions and answers. But let me ask you one final question, Dr. Gassoum, and this is my personal question. Whenever I look to my youth, I call them tamkeeners because they're attending tamkeen, so I call them tamkeeners. And when they misbehave, I question myself, is there an opportunity for them to evolve to be monkeys? Can this happen? I'm going to turn to the...
We are all evolving intellectually and morally. Inshallah, I hope.
Inshallah.
We are all improving morally, we are becoming more moral beings and better intellectual, more humble, more open-minded. I think this kind of evolution, intellectual, moral evolution, should be continued.
Everyone for listening. This is probably one of my favorite sessions. I love having the heated discussion, having everyone's opinions shared. Inshallah, I wish we could, or not inshallah, I wish we could have talked more about this. It was really interesting. But now we have to go pray Asr upstairs, and we're going to have dinner.
Let's head downstairs inshallah.